Thank you, Lyman, for this awesome introduction. I am super grateful to be here today and to have the opportunity to share the stage with some of the best speakers that we've got in the industry to talk about some of the things that I am personally passionate about. My presentation is going to focus a lot on agentic AI capabilities, building Power Platform solutions. Now, I know you probably have heard a lot about AI, a lot about agentic AI, a lot about agents and so on. And this conference is going to be no exception to that. There'll be a lot of AI information about it. But I think that in the Power Platform, we're just missing a key element. And I want to show you how we're going to do that. So during my presentation, I'm going to be demonstrating how we can build agentic squads. Agentic squads that are very specialized, that can go and build Power Platform solutions on your behalf accurately. Now, yes, there are a lot of solutions that are available out of the box that can provide you with some of those capabilities, but I want to take a different twist. I want you to build your own agents, the agents that behave the way you want them to behave, the way they do the solutions, and then they create capabilities and solutions and quality the way you intend it to be, as opposed to the way the AI is expecting it to work. Now, before I go into those details, let's go through a little demo and showing you what a typical requirement might look like in terms of what a customer might want from you to build in the Power Platform. A very simple scenario that is quite common in day-to-day usage. So I'm going to switch to my demo environment. And in there, I've got just a simple form, a contact form that we are very used to, that we've seen many times before. And in there, there's a couple of new attributes. There's the age attribute, there's the job title, and then there's the school name attribute. Now, part of the age category, you can either be an adult or a child. Now, when you select that, nothing else happens on the form. And quite typically, the customers will say, you know, there's quite a lot of information on the form, and then people get sort of quite confused when they're trying to actually build those forms. And then when they start and populate the content in it, there's just too many fields. They want to simplify it. They want to be able to say that if you select a child, for example, I just want the school name to appear. If I select adult, I just want the job title to appear. One of those is an out-of-the-box field, which is the job title, and one is a custom field, which is the school name. Now, a typical maker would then go into the make.powerapps.com over there, and then they're going to open their solutions. They're going to go and have a look at what does that form look like. They're going to start and have a look at the choices behind those forms, just to understand what's the value behind an adult, for example, and what's the value behind a child. So they go into context, into columns, and then over there, they're going to see that there is the choices capability. And again, they try to find out what is the value behind those choices. So typically clicking on that element. And as you can see, it's quite clicky. I mean, it's a beautiful interface. The Maker Portal, I love it. I've been using it for a very long time, but it's not meant to be very efficient, right? So as you can see in here, we go and get this value and this value, and then we go and create a web resource. We go and populate the logic in the web resource. Now we have to remember, what does that JavaScript look like? What is the syntax behind it? We populate it. We go, we publish the JavaScript that we've got in there. We go back to the form, we attach it, we publish the form again, and then we go and try our capabilities. All of that is very lengthy. And typically speaking, this type of work would usually take about 4 hours. That's what we would usually expect a consultant to be able to do it. Now, I'm going to give you a different twist. That's all good, but in order to survive in this industry with all the vibe coding that is taking place and all the new capabilities that are being introduced, where people can deliver full-end solutions in minutes and hours rather than days and weeks and months. So I want to bring that capability back into the Power Platform. And what I love about that community is that if there's anything missing, then the community will jump in and then fill in that gap. And that's what I'm doing right now. Today, I'm going to show you just a little sneak peek of what my entire workshop is going to cover. But I'm just going to take one slice, a vertical slice, that will show you the end-to-end solution, and then give you that opportunity just to make you think about what is the art of possible with the Power Platform and with all the agentic AI capabilities that we've got. So how about I show you how we can turn something that usually would take about 4 hours into something that we can do in 4 minutes. And I'm going to demonstrate that live. So I'm going to go back into my demo, and I'm going to show you the AI way, the agentic way of actually doing that. So let me go back into my demo environment. And what you can see in here is where we started with the make.powerapps.com. Now I'm going to switch into VS Code, Visual Studio Code. In here, I've got the JavaScript that is empty, that has nothing in it. And I want to start building that JavaScript, populating the right information, putting all the right elements in it. And then I want to publish it. And then I want to go and test that change in my environment. Now, what you will notice in here is that I've got my agentic capability on the right side with the AI capabilities, which is the GitHub Copilot. So right here, as you can see, typically you would have an agent in there. Agent will be able to just do quite a lot of generic stuff, but I've built my own agents, my own capabilities. And as you can see in here, there's quite a few of them. There's one that can do connect to DevOps. There's one that can actually deploy changes. There's one that can understand JavaScript. And then there's also a schema generator. And during the workshop, we'll go through how to create those agents one by one and then add them into the list. So I'm going to start with my Azure DevOps coordinator because I have a requirement that is sitting in Azure DevOps. So I'm going to say, get me requirement 12. And because my agent is so fine-tuned and it's driven by hyper-automation, not everything is AI. Not everything is MC. My own scripts, my understanding, and eventually it's going to come back with the right information. This is taking a little bit longer than usual. Again. Now it's reasoning, it's trying to understand what is required. And it detected that the requirement is already existing. So now I have a requirement that came from ADO, and that requirement is going to go through exactly what is required in terms of when you have an adult, you need to display the job title. When you have a child, then you need to display the school name. Great, I've got a cache of that requirement that is available on my local machine. And now I'm going to say, I'm going to switch from the Azure DevOps coordinator to the JavaScript master. And in there, as you can see, like we did have the JavaScript that is available in there. One thing I do have to mention that I do have a cache in here of what does that schema look like and what do the choices, what are the choices behind it. So if I select that, I can see that I've got all the different elements that are available in the contact record. And I can see that there are so different option sets and different values in there. So that if it has to understand how do I get the right value for adult and child, it doesn't have to guess. It has everything that is available right there. So using the JavaScript master agent that I've got in here, I'm going to say implement requirement 12. So let's see what it's going to do. It's probably going to go and then read a little bit about sort of what is in the JavaScript. It will understand what are the reusable utilities that I've got that it can leverage in there. What does the schema look like? And it's exactly what you would do as a human being. But instead, it's all hyper-automated. It's all driven by our AI capabilities. And look at that. It generated the code. And it generated exactly the way I would have generated that code. Now, part of it, you will notice that there's a forms utility. This is a reusable library that I have created that would do a set visible with multiple different conditions that can probably cover about 80% of the typical requirements that would come in. So it detected that that utility library exists. It detected that there is an attribute called job title that is out of the box, one that is AI underscore school name that is not out of the box. and the values for the age categories for an adult and a child. Perfect. It now wrote my JavaScript. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to deploy the changes, And I simply converse with it. I simply tell it what I wanted to do. And again, what I'm trying to do is mimic what a human, and then I'll try to get the AI to go and understand what are the different elements to do it and how to do it. And again, I've got my scripts that are available in there, similar to what Sparkle can do if you guys have used Sparkle before. So this is a capability where you can sort of push your changes into an environment. And once it is there, then you can go and publish the changes so that they are available. So now it's running the script, it's pushing the changes into the environment, and eventually it's going to go and make the changes. This might take a little bit of time. Now, in the interest of time, what's currently happening is that it's changing, making the changes to the right environment, and it's going to go and change. Now, it did hallucinate a little bit, and that's fine. This is usually what we can see in those environments, and it's really important to understand how to actually address that and how to change it. Now, this is just a quick sneak preview. Eventually, what's going to happen is that it's going to push the changes into the environment and is going to publish it. We're going to refresh our page, and everything is going to be available as we need it. Now, let's go back into our presentation mode. And this is just, again, a slice, one thing that is really small to demonstrate the capability of our agentic AI capabilities, right? So once we've seen that we can do that in JavaScript, where else can we actually use some of those changes? Let's have a look at sort of the list of things that I'm going to be covering in the workshop. So first of all, we can start by doing some configuration that is schema changes. And this is the typical requirement that comes in from our customers, where they want to enhance the environment. They want to make sure that they've got like new tables, they've got new schema, and so on. We will be covering specific agents that can actually build those schema changes. We can then have a look at the front-end customization, very similar to what I was doing right now, be it showing and hiding fields, be it making sure that there is logic that would display information in the right order, changing whether fields are required or not, typical requirements that you would get in there that from now on, you can delegate into an agent to do that work for you. You can have a look at some backend customization as well, plugins, automation, just in general. And this is crucial to the platform. So a lot of the work that I do is in the public sector, being from Wellington. And a lot of it is to do with application process automation and so on. And quite often, those are expensive to implement. And this comes as a penalty for the platform. Well, what I'm trying to teach you in this workshop is how about we look at how we can automate those capabilities, and then we can farm them out to an agent to build the automation on our behalf, and things that will be sort of executing on the back end on the server. But then once this is done, then we need to ensure that what we have built is of pure quality, good quality. So I'm going to demonstrate as well how we can do unit testing. And in fact, my journey with AI started with testing, because I wanted to have a look at all the different possible permutations that I can do to make sure that my code is working as expected. So we will have a look at how we can do unit tested, very targeted unit testing, but also regression testing that can go end to end using something like Playwright, where you can do UI testing and introduce automation in that space. But also the quality is not just in terms of testing, but also doing static analysis to ensure that what you have produced is fit for purpose and does meet the requirements. Now, as I mentioned, there are lots of options that are available out there to do that today. Some of the out-of-the-box ones include things like Plan or Plan Designer, as it used to be called, vibe.powerapps.com, generative pages. But the way I see those is that they are black boxes. They're basically an agent that is available in there where you just give it some requirements and it comes back with something that is really big, something that is huge. And I sometimes don't like to use those capabilities, because when I, as someone who's experienced in the platform, when I build something, I have a very specific way in which I want to build it. And that's why I prefer the sort of micro agentic approach, where each one is specialized in doing things the way I want them to be done. And I'll give you an example. Like, let's say you're an artist and then you're writing a song, right? A song about like a breakup or an ex-wife or something like that. You don't go to AI and say, hey, can you write me a song within those parameters? Because it's not going to have sort of the ideas that you've got in your mind in terms of how you want to do it and what are the words, the swear words that you want to use and so on. No, it takes that creativity away from you. And then you spend more time trying to redirect it exactly to where you want it to be. And that's why I'm taking a different approach than the available out-of-the-box capabilities. There are some smaller components that can also do something like that, like Work IQ. You can configure Copilot Studio to have your own agent to do it, or inline AI, where you're just asking sort of within the page, you can go and generate some capabilities, like, write me that formula. So the inline AI supporting capabilities. All of those are things that we will be exploring during the workshop. But then again, I'll be focusing on something more like using GitHub Copilot, but also that same knowledge that you're going to get, you're going to be able to apply it to GitHub Copilot app, Claude Code, and many other solutions or AI of the flavor, whatever the flavor of the month is. So what are we going to cover in the workshop? First of all, I'm going to go through the options that I just talked about, a little bit more in depth, a helicopter view, just to give you a flavor of all the different capabilities that you get out of the box. And then we're going to start looking at setting up specific agents, fine-tuning those prompts so that you can get exactly what you want in a deterministic way, build reusable libraries, build reusable frameworks, be it front-end or back-end. And I'll show you the art of filling that gap. As I said, like if there's a gap that AI cannot sort of provide, then we'll be able to provide you with some of those capabilities on how to do that. And we will do that for all the different disciplines, starting from requirement gathering, configuration, customization. Register, you're going to get a few giveaways. You're going to get the agents that we're going to build, the foundation at least for each of the different disciplines that we're going to use. You're going to get some of those reusable utility libraries that I just demonstrated earlier that will allow you to address a lot of the common requirements or a lot of the common codes, be it front-end as a utility library or be it as a back-end and something as a reusable framework that can execute on the server itself. You will get the full lab material because it is going to be driven as a lab. So the workshop, bring in your laptops, and then we're going to go through each section. You are going to be doing some of that with the guidance of what I'm going to do. I'll make sure that you've got your environments up and running and examples on how to do each section, each exercise. And it's going to be a collaborative. I want to teach you how to fish rather than just preach to you in terms of what is required in there. Now, there will be some prerequisites. Maybe the basic understanding of the Power Platform is very important, just so that you don't get lost as we're going through the different capabilities and the different disciplines. Familiarity with writing code is optional. You're not going to be lost because a lot of it is just an example or an exercise that you have to follow. And if you can't do an exercise, that's fine. I'm going to design the workshop so that each section is independent from the other. So if you want to skip a section and then go on to the next section, to catch up with the rest of the class, that's perfectly fine because, I will have everything pre-staged so that we move on from one exercise to the other without having any dependencies between them. Bring your laptops because this is hands-on experience. If you don't bring it, that's also okay, but you'll get the most out of that if you have your own device so that you can actually get hands-on experience and then ask questions, see how it works, how it breaks, and so on. And then finally, recommended is to have a GitHub Copilot license. It's not absolutely mandatory. I'll try to make sure that you can get all of those capabilities with the free version of GitHub Copilot. If I cannot secure some, trials for the people. But otherwise, if you have your own GitHub Copilot license, that will be quite useful. It's quite accessible. I think it's around $20 or $30. So it's not too expensive as an investment, and it's definitely worth it. And then you get the most out of the workshop if you do have that Copilot license. So finally, again, super grateful to be able to share some of those capabilities with you guys. My workshop is going to be on the 30th of October, which is the Friday, so right after the conference. I've got a bit.ly in here where you can go and have a look at the details behind that sort of workshop. But again, what we're going to work on together is how to build our own agentic squad to build Power Apps capabilities. Really excited to be there, and I'm looking forward to being part of that awesome event.
Hey, thank you, Rami. Thank you for that preview. And thank you for everyone who joined us today. We hope the session gave you some insight into what to experience from the full day workshop at PPCC26. If you're interested in the other workshop previews, check out the link below. We'll have that scroll slowly so you can write that down. If you haven't registered yet, there's still time to join us in Las Vegas. When you register, simply use the discount code shown on the screen to save $150 off your conference registration. Join us in Las Vegas to connect with thousands of Microsoft technology professionals from around the world, and you'll learn directly from Microsoft's engineering and product teams, as well as some of the most respected experts from the global technology community. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great day, and we'll see you at the PPCC26.